2 weeks is way too long to wait between episodes.
Way too long, especially after that episode. I feel like, for me specifically.
Aside from anything else, I need to refresh my brain and be like, don't swear, don't demonetize RoBear, don't demonetize RoBear, don't do it, don't do it. Don't put that evil on him.
Oh man, I haven't had to do one of these in so long. Flip around and reverse it. Near sniffer near yet. You saw nothing. What's going on, everybody? CaptainRoBear crew here for Totally Not the Restart of Stormforge, episode 12. It's all that rust.
Time. Too easy, first try.
See it.
That's why
I saw us leave screen and come back again like nothing happened.
I keep the YouTube live video for posterity. Everybody gets to see the mess up. Nailed it.
Everybody else who doesn't get it doesn't get to know about whether or not it's the first time. I've contemplated my terrible fate, not being able to swear. So yeah.
It was a rather boozy episode of one of the original shows, probably Saving Throws, that started 4 times.
I don't. Oh damn it! I probably didn't watch that one. I don't remember having to restart that many times before.
There won't be a copy of it because it'll be one where just people just bust up at the beginning because it took so long. Oh man, that was in the days of having used Voice Meter Banana, and I had to fix everybody's Voice Meter Banana before each session. Those are the dark days.
Oh.
Awful.
I'm glad I wasn't around for those days because it would have chased me away.
Back then, there were not a lot of people running APs. I'll put it that way. There were not. It was pretty. Most of them were real rough. Real rough. People were using Discord would just use Discord for everything then. And so then when one person would drop out, rearrange all the
Yep.
Dark days. We need to pick up where we left off 2 weeks ago. With finally some downtime to explore the city. Got to break up and see individuals of the party go out on their own way. Seeing Mishkin and Kaivar make a trip to Pinnacle's Point, the long cylindrical library inside the city that holds many answers as well as many secrets. Not finding exactly what they were looking for as they met a most infamous librarian and lore master. They found they were more interested in recording Kaivar's history than giving answers to the rest of you. Conversations between Chrissy and Mishkin, and a heartfelt conversation about the blissful ignorance of the populace versus a burden of responsibility and great power. Chrissy confiding with Lufia that they're more same than they are different. A yearning to have a partner and a family. Revelations of what Farouk does with all that food when he goes back home. Feeding the populace of Upper City, as well as the Sundance ceremonies that go down each evening that produce the lava and malleable clay that they build their own homes with. To visions, an ancient evil leering somewhere in the distance, threatening Kaivar's people's very existence. To a trip to the doctor, where Callisto revealed the injury he's been hiding from his partner. All wrapping up over dinner back at the Amber Forge, where Callisto and Mission have a conversation about procuring cures and goods from a black market named the Trove. The choice is yours. We can roll off to see where you would like to start, or if you guys want to pick up with that conversation about the black market still. Choice is yours.
How do you feel, Ed? I'm down.
I mean, what are Callisto's thoughts as we stand in the streets?
He's sighed as what Mishkin is asking for, what little he's learned, he makes his connections to the Trove. I can probably find someone who can get us, at the very least, point us in the right direction. But the cost is pretty dire when it comes to anything with the Trove. I won't say it's life or death, but that probably won't be off the table either.
You strike me as someone who is not unaccustomed to those sorts of stakes.
Yes, but most of the time I'm prepared for those stakes. We're going to be going into this more or less blind, unaware. What they could ask from us could be impossible, incredibly difficult, wrong. There's no way we're going to be able to do it ourselves. At least, I don't think.
Well, I am not suggesting that we keep it from the others. More that I think it would be beneficial for both myself and your injuries. I don't know, I feel there might be much to gain, potentially for the others as well. But I would appreciate your helping push the group towards such decision.
With something like this, when it came to what was going on down on the lands forgotten, or the clockwork dragon that attacked us up here, we were fighting for a very clear reason. If I ask everyone to come with, they're going to want to know my reason, and I have no issue telling them mine. Do you have an issue telling them yours?
If I am asked, I have no reason to lie.
Okay, well, the potential contact I know is probably tired of my face, at least for now, so I'll give him an hour or two. I need to head to the library anyway. Do you want to come with? Or I can just tell you where to meet me afterwards.
I have already seen the library, and for as many fathoms as it has, and as for as large as it is, I found it somewhat wanting for my purposes, but I do have to ask, your injuries, does your wife know the extent of them?
It seems like our time that was to us 3 days, but to everyone else 3 weeks, might have accelerated or worsened it. So now, no. She doesn't know its current state.
Might I offer a word of advice?
I can't promise I'll take it, but I'm willing to listen.
You should tell her. It does not do well to keep secrets from the ones that we love. It is too short a life for that.
Thank you for your advice.
After all, you only have one life. Not all of us are lucky to be born with 9.
I don't know if you have many left, to be honest. You nearly died, 3 times now? At least from just us meeting.
Yes, I am trying not to draw a correlation between the two, but...
I'm going to head to the library. If you don't want to come with, I'm going to be heading back to the Amber Forge afterwards. We can talk with everyone there. And then, depending on everyone's response, I can get us connected with the potential contact I have with the Trove, or at the very least someone who knows of it a little bit more than I do.
Thank you. You are, you are a good man, Callisto.
He just places a hand on your shoulder and gives it a tight squeeze and says, "I'll see you later."
Happy reading? Michigan turns and brings the hood even further over his brow before moving swiftly off through the crowd.
And Callisto turns and continues heading to the library.
Lufia.
Honestly, I don't think that Lufia would be doing much, except for just hanging out around the house and waiting for Callisto, if it's still day of, which I would assume.
Yeah, I think the day
That's
off, yeah.
some big stuff you're doing there, husband.
What do you mean? I'm just going to the library. Keeping up my reading streak, you know?
I'm on 59 days on Duolingo, and I need to keep it going, but I need to go to the library to focus. RoBear, can I ask a question with regards to timing?
Mm-hmm.
On this same day, how long has it been since Kaivar had the dream from the last episode? Or is it kind of the next day, that kind of thing?
We kind of bounced around people's timelines. No more than maybe 12 hours, probably. If we're all set in the evening time right now.
Yeah.
So, totally unplanned, Sam, but you would definitely see Kaivar pacing back and forth in the kitchen a little bit, kind of worriedly. And you can see that there's a very nervous, fidgety tick to him right now. He's messing with the Vox in a manner that would probably be frustrating to a bunch of people who are very sensitive to the auditory side of things. You know, every once in a while there'll be like a test sound that comes out of it, adjusting a knob, and it's like he's trying to get it just perfect, just right. But also his larger hands, his mandibles, he's like cleaning himself. He's doing that thing that some bugs will do where they pass their antennae through their mandibles to clean them. But it almost looks as though, with the way that the mannerism presents, it's like he's chewing on his fingernails. You know, like you can probably tell that there's something nervous going on with him. And if that wasn't enough, the pacing back and forth is really, I mean, at this point he must have done five laps of the kitchen just based on the last 10 minutes. So, you know, something is up. You know, it'd be easy enough to tell.
Okay. How long do you think this has been going on for?
The pacing generally? I'd say since the end of breakfast. Definitely started off. And actually, this is actually a good question. Is Farouk still there, or has he gone to the upper city?
No, there's food on the table. This is evening. I'm definitely, I'm in the port wine. I'm in my second or third Goodberry port wine at this point.
Oh God. Well, yeah. In that case, this has literally been happening all day, and something seems to be sort of very agitated for Kaivar. Very strange too, because he
Is
has not gone to the
everybody back?
library.
Or is this while people are out?
I think I'm still out, I'd say. Yeah.
Mishkin is on his way back, but not yet.
Okay, where would Chrissy be?
You don't know. Chrissy is missing.
That rhymed. Maneuvering around you just throughout the day, aware of your movements and your trepidation and just everything that's kind of going on with your demeanor, but at the same time, Lilithia tends to just focus what's in front of her, which has been her family, and potentially finally settling down in a chair just to read a book as things are going on around her and she's awaiting Callisto's arrival home. And you could probably hear her tapping her foot. Not in a way that is to calm her, but more of an annoyance. And she's reading, looking down. Are you done yet?
Kaivar kind of looks behind him, wondering if this was directed at someone else, slightly praying that it was directed at someone else.
And she's looking right at you. Unamused. But not mad, even if her voice comes across that way.
After about maybe 7 or 8 seconds worth of sputtering, this one, sorry, yes. It sort of like retreats slightly to a corner, but like at this point is holding the Vox a little bit closer. Also, eyes have become very focused on Farouk in particular. It's glaringly obvious because of just how big Kaivar's eyes are. Like, you know, if he was a
Is that a more recent thing? Or is that in the
literally within the moment that you tell him to sort of stop.
Gotcha.
It's there from the next however many minutes on until someone interacts with him. It's legitimately one of those things of if someone was a stranded survivor in a desert and they'd gone for water without 3 days, Kaivar's stare at Farouk is the same intensity as a vulture staring at them, but without all the malice of I'm going to eat you. Just the intensity. Just like, you can kind of clearly tell that something is on Kaivar's mind and that Farouk is at the center of that.
She would, I guess, noticing this, since you said it would be very clear, just close her book and lightly set it down. You probably wouldn't even hear it touch the table before she begins to stand and almost glide over toward you. And she would just place her hand gently on your shoulder. Are you done? It's the same question, but she's confused now.
No. This one, Kaivar, have a question. Yes, but cannot, does not know, is scared. Yes.
Kaivar, and she's just gonna almost lightly push your shoulder as if toward the door. Let's go take a breath outside. And if you would like to, she would be walking in front of you to step outside.
You are the matriarch of this house whenever V
Don't
and
tell my
Ifdrin
mamas-in-laws that.
Right, like at this point Kaivar is very much like in that position of not being the authority figure. He is following your word. This is your house, your rules. So he will follow you outside.
And as
He's
you
a terrified little bug
follow-
boy. You think he's going to take charge? No, he needs to become a braver toaster for that.
Perfect. Yeah, no, but she would step outside and turn around and wait for you to walk after her. As you do, she would kind of look at you and look at the door behind you that is left open, hoping you understand that she's trying to get you to close it.
Hang on a second. I think
I was gonna say, I want to roll it.
Ziva, that was when.
Did Farouk just close it?
No, I was imagining you closing the door on my loud story in the kitchen.
Chiziva.
Ivar doesn't quite put the pieces together immediately, but after you stare intently at him and kind of like it goes on for a few minutes, Kaivar like gingerly looks back at you and back at the door and then like slowly closes it and waits for your like confirmation of like, yes, you'd close doors. Doesn't know quite what to do.
She wouldn't make any movement toward that at all. You wouldn't be able to tell anything. But she would look you up and down. What's wrong with your Vox?
Vox is... Vox fine. Yes.
Have you tried asking Iftrin to fix it? You're in the right place.
No. Vox, not problem. No. But this one, Kaiva, have a question for Farouk, but...
Well, then ask Farouk.
No, this... And Kaivar is searching for the word that he's looking for, and he doesn't feel like he has the complexity to sort of convey it appropriately. And he eventually...
Oh, wait, are you going to say it?
Nah, go for it. Well, jump in.
I was going to say, would you like me to, or not like to, but could I actually roll to see if I can fill it in? You know when somebody knows the word that you're trying to think of?
I don't think that's necessarily what would be going on, because even so, here's the other thing too. Even if it was one of those things, it may not necessarily be a word that Kaivar immediately registers as appropriate to the situation. If it makes sense, like idiom sometimes doesn't register. Okay. After a little bit of a pause, you, strong magics, yes, great warrior. Yeah. But this one, Kaivar, clutch, small, with magics not potent, magics for knowledge, yes. But Kaivar has question for Farouk. Question scares Kaivar. Question bigger than Kaivar, yes.
I'm not.
You can
one
see
to pry.
this is. Here's something else too. As Kaivar gives this to you, you see him sort of like unclam himself, if that makes sense. And it's very clear that this is something where it's a reaction to someone who has imposed authority on the situation. And it seems very odd at first because, like, you know, normally this feels like details where he'd share them with someone that he knows, but the stern aspect of Lelufia is very much like untwisting the sort of like strange nature of what's going on. Like he's seeing an authority figure and something within his buggy brain is sitting there being like, don't mess around with this. Nope.
Is it a reaction as in you don't want to share the truth if she were to inquire further?
It's a reaction as he's doing so more involuntarily because of your position of power.
Oh,
you know,
I'm so sorry.
No. Like this is the exploration of it, right? Like very unintentionally, this is the case, and you know, there's no way you could have known prior to it. It's just a sort of, it's a byproduct of this moment, you know, and this intersection of where Kaivar is and who's really in charge.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm not one to ever pry for anything, but if you want to talk to me, you can.
Lulufia. Yes.
Well, good job. That's my name.
Oh, yeah, yes. Kaivar is getting better at names. Yes. But
You are actually. You've improved a lot.
Sort of like slightly relaxes just a little bit. Still very much like in that mode where all of a sudden he's focused. There is palpable anxiety behind his words, but it's steadied at this moment in time. This question, is one Kaiva must ask, yes, but Kaiva does not know if they will like answers. Yes, yes. Kaiva is scared, yes?
I mean, Farouk's not that scary.
No,
Or is it
no.
more so your question is scary?
Just one sec. Because this gets to the cut and thrust of it. Grave toaster time, maybe. No, not Farouk. Friend, yes, but question and answer. Scary, yes. And those who must have answer, yes. Kaiva fear, yes.
Whatever you want to ask him, why are you already afraid of an answer you don't have?
That question throws Kaivar through a loop, and it stops him in his tracks, because he realizes that this is something where he's starting to process things. He is nervous in a context that you guys might understand immediately, and everyone else might, but it stops Kaivar partly quizzically and partly because he is actually asking that question of, like, why is he afraid in the first place? After pondering
Call
it
that a
for just...
lalupia. Hard.
I want a divorce.
I'll allow it, I'm sorry.
Well...
Bye. Please continue.
Oh my god, please make that the thumbnail and title.
Actual
Episode
D&D
12.
players die on stream.
Wouldn't be the first time you tried to kill me for my puns.
It's true. You're
But
like,
he's still alive.
out of combat, you feel
Everyone's
so safe.
It's just everyone's disappointed face behind drag, and it's just, I want a divorce. That's it.
That threw me for a lalupia.
Understanding that he's feeling a lot of strange, palpable things, and that it really is all about him in this instance. It's something that sort of throws Kaivar through that loop, and he does not know what to immediately do. He doesn't quite know how to respond to the question. He's just left in pensive silence, kind of looks down for a little bit. One of his smaller hands goes from the Vox to the book on his side, quite subconsciously, doesn't really see what's going on. Is gripping that thing quite tight, but more as a thing of reassurance than anything else.
Farouk swings the door open. Excuse me, it's a nice night out. I didn't expect to see you all there.
I didn't expect you to be standing.
What's that supposed to mean? My legs are
You've been
fine.
drinking all day.
Not more than any other day.
I'm not gonna lie, Farouk, I don't know your ins and outs of your days.
With the food that is good as here at the Amberforge, we'll be like family in no time, Raleigh.
I hope not. Question, Farouk.
Yeah. Yes?
Are you able to think clearly?
His ember eyes are gonna light up on the second pensive comment. He's just gonna stare back into your eyes, Lolly. And I'm going to cast Cinder Gaze.
Ooh, what's that? You burn my eye holes?
No, it's a...
Not gonna lie.
It is...
Don't look directly into the eyes of an Ifriti. Everyone knows that.
I look into yours every day.
I'm only part, okay? And that's still kind of unsure.
With Cinder Gaze is a divination where I can read future patterns through flames and smoke. But I can do this through the layer over my Ifrit eyes. So it kind of casts an aura over the person to try to get a read. And I simply get to roll a d4.
Best number.
We share the same best number, bestie. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Olivia. For I have not spoken one to you.
I don't think we've spoken much at all.
He's going to continue to stare back into your eyes, waiting for this inevitable question.
Sorry, there's an ice cream truck going by.
I assume trucks
Oh,
exist in Stormforge.
Excuse me! Yes, excuse me! What? They never slow down. I really could have gone for a dilly bar. Shiva! What do you gotta do to get these things to slow down? God, he was pedaling so
Set
fast.
me up. It starts coming down the road, and I'm like, no, it's gonna pick up in the mic. Sorry, can you ask that again?
Sounded
never
like
mind,
you
he
had
was
a
waiting for me. Okay.
sounded like you had a question for me.
Yeah, if you, and she's gonna look down at Kaivar, obviously, to try to draw your gaze, and then look back at you. Would you be open to answering a question from Kaivar? One that could be scary.
Of course.
With that,
He's gonna look down at Kaivar.
with that, Kaivar moves forward in a much more sort of skittish and notably anxious fashion, and sort of like hesitates for a little bit, and then just sort of like head hung kind of low all of a sudden, looks down to his hand, one of his larger ones, and offers it out to Farouk. Do you take Kaivar's hand? And for context here, this is one of those moments at which Kaivar is initiating contact so that he can begin talking psychically. This would be the first time you've heard it, so you would not know, but it's a moment of trust first.
Before he takes your hand, he's gonna put a hand on Lufia's shoulder. I know you mean well. Even if sometimes your words betray your message.
She's gonna shrug away from your touch. I don't need to be lectured right now.
All of us never stop learning, Ollie. You
Have
have
ask your question.
you have advantage on your next saving throw. You choose to use it.
Is that me or Lelufia?
That's Lelufia from Cinder Gaze.
Cool.
Of good fortune. I turn around and I take Kaivar's hand.
It's as though someone has evaporated and disintegrated the dam on a tiny stream. You make contact with that hand, and then you feel consciousness ripple through. My apologies to speak to you like this, Farouk, but this question I must ask. It terrifies me, I think, but there are strange things I have seen, yes? Dreams, yes.
I was there with you, brother. I saw the visions as well.
At this point, you see Kaivar's eyes go wide, and there is, like, he is skittering around with the movements of his head. Like, at this point, it's as though he's been told that there's danger nearby. Farouk, what was that? Well, was it danger that has happened? Yes, or was it the future? Was it past? Does it happen now? This one, Kaivar must know, yes?
Vision of the future. Potential. It was a large roadblock between me communicating with my own parents and ancestors. Something looms in the distance from our ancestral home. An entity of malice, conceit.
Almost like it's involuntary, Kaivar recoils and you lose touch of his hand. Just as he's about to start saying something else, the sentence cuts off. His entire body seems to go stiff all of a sudden. He's no longer in a much more relaxed pose. It's almost as though he's a guard that's been caught out of attention and has suddenly found that they need to stand up straight as one of the commanding officers walks by. Every part of him that seems naturally to be more sort of relaxed stiffens up. His antennae go straight upwards, his eyes completely dilate, and he's not looking at anyone in particular. He drops the Vox.
What did you do to him?
I did not do this to him. He's having a reaction. I'm gonna
Does he need a doctor? Or?
bend down and pick up the Vox. No, he's coming to the grips of potential realities.
Start to see Kaivar's mandibles move. They don't make a noise, but it's almost as though he is mouthing the words of a prayer or a pledge. And his antennae, which are completely straight, start to sort of like twitch slowly in certain directions, almost like they're trying to catch a signal. Kaivar is still completely motionless at this point, except for one thing. You can see that he's starting to tremble.
My friend. He's gonna put a hand on your shoulder.
Did you pick up his Vox?
Yeah, I picked it up.
Is there anything happening with that, Kaivar?
No.
So that
Absolutely
is also
nothing
still
going on.
no
Yeah,
sounds, no
it's-
nothing.
No sounds, no nothing. As you touch Kaivar's shoulder, you feel like there is an open door and like very involuntarily, something is flowing out. While before it felt like a stream, now it feels like a river starting to pick up current. Like a point at which it diverts, a distributary.
Is this a visible thing? Or only felt?
You could, considering that you also use magic, you could probably sense some of this.
Probably like a resonance.
Okay. She would slowly approach, but she would not touch you. What's happening with him?
I think he's sending some kind of message.
To his home.
Somewhere. He's in a trance right now. Not unfamiliar to many times that he has been with Chrissy, oracles, occultists, or diviners. Farouk is just there to literally support your physical structure so that whenever you come out of this trance, you don't awkwardly fall or collapse. Something that he's very used to. Even though you have an exoskeleton, he is kind of trying to read for a temperature. Is there any kind of temperature change that you have, Kaivar?
Normally, Kaivar's not exactly warm to the touch. Being an insect, it's nowhere near the same, but even you can detect that the resonance somehow doesn't seem to add heat. It's not cold, but everything is static, like he's been caught out of time. Even if it was a warm summer breeze in Stormforge on the day, Kaivar is like he's in a different place temperature-wise.
Sorry, I was trying to get a read on his temperature. What were you saying, Olivia?
I was trying to perceive if there was anybody watching us or around us that could be trouble for Kaivar. And with the nat 20, it should be good.
Not on the
That's a good
outside,
story.
but anyone on the inside could certainly be listening.
Would I feel that?
Krak, are your parents listening with the open door?
V is probably still at work, so V isn't even around to listen. And honestly, I imagine Iftin is busy with commissions that she's dealing with, so probably not. She's either in the Forge working on some projects or messing around with Ziva.
If Chrissy is around, I do not know. And I would say with a nat 20 that probably not. No one on the streets is paying attention to your conversation in front. Most people are finishing up dinner in their own domiciles. It's a rather quiet, nice night.
What about
If I may,
with whomever Kaivar is contacting? Could I sense something within Kaivar?
I would say even with a nat 20, we're sitting somewhere of a strange signal, not of arcane nature.
Okay. All right.
Any other information you want to give, Lolly? Go for it.
very subconsciously, and only because it's a nat 20, because this is totally not what you were looking for. It's not quite a whispering, but you feel pressure. Not social pressure, although it could be applied in such a manner. It literally feels as though there's static building slightly in your ears. It's not as though it's building to a crescendo, but it's a resonating hum. You also see that as Kaivar's larger hands have gone limp, his smaller hands that have dropped the Vox are sort of reaching out, trying to grasp something. And just because it's a nat 20, it looks as though he's trying to hold someone's hand. Do you choose to take Kaivar's hand?
Oh, yeah.
This is a question to both of you, by the way.
Alufia would, sensing this and noticing your entire exterior, apart from the odd reaching with one of your, or two of your smaller hands, she would not make any nod or look at Farouk, but just instinctively, gently wrap her fingers around your small hand, and if Farouk wants to be able to pick up on what she's doing, you're welcome to.
Absolutely.
You two feel a sudden rush of consciousness like water. And mentally speaking, you start to feel as though a door is beginning to open. I'm going to roll something, but assuming that there's not a 1 or a 20 situation that might change things, there is potential for you to see within Kaivar's mind. That is a choice that you will make in character, as would be appropriate. I'm letting you know this because you are in control. If it would be Lelufia's choice to completely disconnect, she can do that. Kaivar's mind is the one that's open, not yours. And having subconsciously extended his hand, this is not an invasion. This is him subconsciously and without realizing it, reaching out for companionship. So if you do choose to jump into this moment, you are not mind heisting Kaivar.
Darn.
Yeah, you're not pulling an Inception. But you are inside his brain.
Next time.
Assuming this goes well. I leave this on your table, RoBear, because I don't know what happens when I do this.
Nothing, obviously.
Oh, wow.
We die.
I leave that in your ball court, man. Ooh,
At least it comes back widowed and Michigan off to find another owner. Our little Oliver and Company.
Why should I worry? And that's the end of that before we get shadow banned for my impeccable Billy Joel impersonation.
Man, that story. Oh, gosh.
As we take these first steps in the open mind of Kaivar, it's similar to that feeling where you know the minute you've stepped out your front door that you left your keys on the counter. And it's that first step that you turn around and you notice that there's no way back. as the two of us look at a structure that we've never seen before. This giant underground hive. A literal metropolis built into the ground, where there are many different kinds of insectoids, some like Kaivar, some very, very foreign and different in structure. It doesn't take us very long to realize that we're in some side of remote viewing that is of a timeline. Me and Lolly don't know, but Kaivar, please describe the current state of your hive. This is a direct timeline look of your people and its home.
Where normally there are lines of organization crisscrossing across structures built in hexagonal formations, perfect order within the chaos, many different kinds of bodies, all of different sizes, suddenly, like the ticking of a clock that has just had its final part removed, the entire mechanism stops. Every single insectoid within is exactly like Kaivar. And from far off, a presence you cannot hear, but you can feel. There is this loud, booming voice. And at first you can't quite understand it, but you can see Kaivar, and it's very clear that he's at the center of whatever this maelstrom is. Not physically, but mentally. As the projection and the remote viewing starts to factor in, you start to understand how things work. The hive is a physical place, but it's also a mental one. You start to see the different waves of thought. And as thoughts ripple through waves, you see that Kaivar's is one of the few that carries emotion. Most of them are like resonance, moving at those hexagonal intervals in almost stream-like patterns, all flowing in a single direction, outwards to every individual. Kaivar's is one of the only two-way streams of thought, and you can see the emotion running through. It's a strange experience because all the other insects, they seem dead. Not dead literally, but emotionally. They are merely witness to this, like statues. And there are thousands of them compared to one, maybe a few of Kaivar. They don't read like people. They read more like zombies. As you focus in more on Kaivar, you start to hear an inner dialogue. His mandibles, his voice, but none of it's moving, only words. I am. It is unfortunate that I have brought you this news, yes, but now we know, we may prepare. We do not understand if this is truly the nature of the future, but it may well be that we can avert it. The nature of the maw is not well known, but if this is it, then we can...
And your signal cuts.
Yeah. It's like a knife.
Opening our eyes, out of that state of remote viewing. My friend, it's only a potential. You have time. Lolly, I'm sorry, there's information that we know that you do not. I've seen visions that I have shared with Kaivar of an insectoid race from the fire plane that seems to be terraforming complete other civilizations in its pathway. One of my visions saw them targeting Kaivar's home. They replaced the tunnels that we saw with molten metal. They ignite them and make their own structures and entomb the living as part of their own home. Trapped in a fiery stasis. They seem to only want to be malevolent.
Are we threatened in our home?
Kaivar's home
what are you
is
saying?
threatened. Yes.
How do we help?
I don't know yet.
As you're having this conversation, everything happens at once. You see Kaivar's body untense for barely a second. His eyes return to normal and almost look as though something is approaching. And then it's like an invisible person has gut punched him. And he physically recoils back and falls.
I got you, buddy.
Even with that, you can see there's a little... Ivar sort of coughs something up for a moment and then shakes his head as he takes some damage.
What does he cough up?
It's... The human analogy would be as though he's been punched so hard that he coughs blood.
Okay. What color is it?
Oh, you don't see it. He's managed to keep it in his mouth, so to speak.
Ew.
If
Like throwing up in your mouth and just swallowing it?
Yep.
What?
it's not a fun time. It's
What
a
a
very
bug.
unfun time.
It's like chewing on your cud.
It's not good.
Mm.
Yeah, my southerners get it. You know. Them Billy Ghosts be chewing on their cud.
Uncle Pemmican Man.
Ivar just sort of like looks around, feverish, anxious, panicked. You have no idea the conversation that's just happened, but you can tell it's bad. And Ivar looks up at Farouk, and at first feels only anxiety, trepidation. And then looks back at Lolofea, and now is looking around for the Vox. He looks anxious, but underneath everything, any speed that he's offered is lent by panic.
It's okay.
There's also something in him that looks quite broken. He feels as though he's been... It's like someone has... He is offered an idea almost, perhaps, and the idea has been so soundly rejected that he himself is dejected as well.
We're gonna get those answers, buddy. Gonna hand you the voice box.
Are we back in our reality or not?
Yes.
Yet? We are, okay. She would have let go of your hand as soon as they came back.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. This one, Kaivar, sorry, yes, will be better, yes, yes.
What exactly was the question here?
Is this Ivar's people's future, past, present? Yes. Yes. Yes, no, no, no. At this point, again, understanding the authority figure in this situation is definitely not him. Ivar's head is bent very low. It's like he's been absconded like a child. He doesn't look either you or Farouk in the eye. It's not a disrespect thing. His head is bent low.
Luffy's just gonna look up at Farouk. What do we do?
We do what my people have always done. Ask the ancestors for more help. We need to find out where these insects from the fire plane are, and stop this probability from ever happening. It has been many years since my people crossed through the portal inside the mountain. I pray that is not the same portal.
Well,
But if so, it will be our right to stop it.
as much as I just want to jump on board. And you can see her eyes, they don't quite dart around the same way as somebody who's thinking, but you can see there is a little bit of movement and almost like a fleck from that amber-colored freckle in her left eye. I want to say yes, but I have a ward that I have to take care of. I can't just leave.
Olivia,
What?
that portal is in your ward.
I would know that. Don't laugh.
Not everyone knows everything.
No, but you seem to. Why?
I have been walking in this body for many years. Olivia. The portal is real. If it didn't exist, I would not be here.
What does that mean?
My people came through it many years ago. It's how we got to Faltura.
Then where is it, since you happen to know everything about my ward that I don't?
How much time have you spent inside the old mines?
I'm assuming much less than you have.
I'm sure I've spent probably as little time as you. I simply have a faith in the stories that my people have told. They say that there are a great portal that we crossed through. From the fire plane into the material. It will lie somewhere in the heart of the mountain.
I don't know if I can just believe he said, she said storytelling. And Lufia is actually going to walk off because hearing of where Farouk comes from and knowing who he is, what he is, and where he says this portal is really bothers her because of her connection with Callisto and her knowing a lot of his story. And it upsets her. So she walks back inside.
You walk away.
All I ask is you tell me when I'm telling lies.
This one has seen them before. Yes, yes. With Percy. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Before. Dragon. Yes, yes.
Indeed.
Ivar's head is bent low still. He is looking at the Vox. One of his hands is on the book. It is very clear that he feels as though there is a dereliction of duty. You can tell that just by how he's sort of itching, and it almost looks as though he wants to walk away. Like he's got to do something. He doesn't know what that something is, but it's the itch of a person that you can see needs to move and needs to go somewhere. He doesn't immediately want to leave, though. He's not quite sure why. It's feelings that he hasn't been able to fully understand as feelings yet.
Michigan.
I was just going to say, as Lelufia, you re-enter the Amber Forge. You see coming round the corner and towards the establishment of your in-laws, Mishkin, hooded and stalking through the dark streets, back towards the group.
From which direction? I guess
Towards...
where are we standing? Kaivar and Farouk.
I've been at the front door.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would all happen very quickly then, so she would probably notice, but just continue inside.
Mishkin is going to walk and nodding at both of you two still outside. Sort of takes a look at your faces, and for as alien as Kaivar's is as well, just... Everything all right? Or just simply enjoying the fresh air?
Ivar shoots Farouk a really brief look, still got that very sad look on his face, and the moment that it looks as though you're drawing eye contact, he just sort of like, no, immediately averts his gaze, continues to look down. It's like he's a child that has done something wrong and knows it. It's like there's guilt there, but he can't entirely identify why or what.
Mishkin nods and... Well, this one is hungry. Perhaps this one and Kaivar can talk later.
You hear no words out of Kaivar, but he looks up at you for a second, pauses, and then just sort of nods.
Farouk, it is good to see you. You've been gone some time.
You have missed many meals, my friend.
I'm not usually as hungry as I am tonight.
I see you have been quenching your thirst for knowledge again.
And yet, still, I find myself somewhat famished in that regard. But I am hoping to make a move towards something a little more fulfilling.
Aren't we all famished there, my friend? There's much to learn in all of our lifetimes. The Goodberry port wine is on the cabinet.
I will still abstain for today. Thank you.
No problem.
I trust you, back in the upper city?
Yes, it was a good visit. Far overdue.
Yes.
Will not lie that I am very excited to share that next visit with whoever would like to attend.
Well, if home is as warm as those who come from it, I'd be very glad to visit.
Besides, I have a feast debt. At this point, it will be hard to catch you back up on.
Does so much of your life revolve around food, Farouk?
The sustenance of our physical forms when times are lean are always on the minds of the upper city. It is a luxury for those in the middle city below to not think about food.
Yes. Well, it is getting dark, and I am sure we will be all met again shortly. I am going to go inside, but it is good to be acquainted with both of you again. And Mishkin just steps inside.
I finally get to that pipe that I was going to light up when I opened up the door the first time. Just his two eyes and the amber on the cherry of his pipe. There in the darkness, the front step, the candle lights pour out. Callisto, what does your nighttime voyage look like?
Yes. I might need some guidance from you on this. He would want to go to a library, because I know there are multiple libraries in Stormforge, but he would want to go to a library that would realistically have information on magical beings, and not just like myths of magical beings, but like ones that have been found or seen or observed. He would want to go to a library that would conceivably have that there.
This, in this case, would be the Marvel Jubilee, and this would not be necessarily a public institution that you could go to. This would be a place where you would have to have Wayfinder Guild membership somewhere. Being a warden, you would have access to the Marvel Jubilee. This would be a spot of guarded secrets spent over a lifetime of monster hunting and collecting information. This would also be a place where there would be, especially after hours, you would have access, but there wouldn't be curators there during the day. They would have long since retired back. So it is you kind of in the catacombs.
Yeah.
So it's centrally located. It doesn't take you long to get to, but it is if there is a library inside of those really old recessed pubs as you go down and down further. It's very reminiscent of maybe 2 stories of the Belmont Library.
Okay.
If you've seen the animation, it doesn't go down nearly as far, but about 2 stacks down, and then there is that central large opening on the main floor of battle schematics and plans and large tables of use.
I love that description, by the way. Sorry, I had to say.
It's so cool.
All things Castlevania. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I would be heading to. It would be very... I don't often come here. For the most part, the creatures we've come up against, we haven't had much need of doing extra research, because most of the time we don't have time to run into these things and have to fight them on the spot. Don't have much time to plan. But yes, no, I'd go there and I'd be more or less alone here, he said.
The door is one of those large, cryptic, gothic masterpieces. Instead of kind of like the divine and the gods battling over a plane, this is of known creatures that individuals have seen that are sculpted into this door. And in particular, the massive skeleton key that you have kind of has that gargoylish head at the back end of it as you use to open up this rather ominous obsidian door. And it kind of pours out this crimson light that's from the inside. It is a ominous step in, especially at nighttime. By the way, the curators of a large amount of this knowledge come from the Vork.
The Voshborg.
Yes.
Oof. Okay. So I think even if they aren't around at the moment, there's still a atmosphere that kind of sends a chill down Callisto's spine. He never really felt comfortable around the Voshborg. But the information he's looking for is most likely to be in their archives, what they've been procuring. And yeah, he's going to start looking through the library, and what he's specifically looking for is beings and creatures like the one we came across in the Forgotten Lands, where it tried to pull the memories from Chrissy and then Mishkin. Creatures that could affect memories, alter them, take them, manipulate them. He's very specifically looking for anything like that. And just trying to see if any of it you feel like any of it can apply to him. If any of it fits, makes sense, seems right. Because after witnessing what was going on with that being, after killing it, and after seeing the memories return to Mishkin and Chrissy afterwards, it kind of reignited or resurfaced a curiosity that he had long buried for a while. So yeah, that's what he's going to be doing, looking around for books or scrolls or even something as small as a pamphlet on creatures like that with that kind of ability.
Go ahead and roll. Since this is someplace that you're familiar with, you know the catalogization of things, just go ahead and roll perception in this case.
Yeah.
33. Get with it. Within your research, looking for creatures with this kind of ability, you notice that there is a lot that addresses the astral plane in different dimensions. While still a part of the fabric and science of academia in Stormforge, these are still fringe topics. However, in this sanctum of sanctums, the work is still done and cataloged. You notice there's also a discerning amount of creatures in the deep below. The dimension of the Dread Sea that also have the ability to innately be telepathic, psionic, and have a hunger for memories. However, whatever you ran into definitely fell in to that interdimensional sort. And your research brings you to fading in between planes. The more often that you cross in and out of them, the more you will always be magnetically attracted to these beings that have a greater interest on your mind than the flesh on your body. Any specifics you wish to be looking for?
I say this both in and out of character. I don't know if Callista has any specifics. He doesn't know what he's looking for when it comes to the specifics. He's hoping. He's not much of a researcher, so he very much came into this thinking, I have one thing I'm looking for. I'll feel it click if it's a thing I'm looking for. So he himself doesn't actually know. He just knows that in his past he's had his memories taken or altered, and he's hoping to find something that he feels is the cause of it. And I think from what you've described, any of it could have been any of these creatures. So there's a level of frustration, I think, as he's looking at these books spread out on the desk in front of him, as what he was hoping would be like some kind of innate understanding or recognition doesn't come.
One thing that you notice is that there is an abnormal amount of biology and written information on mind flayers in particular. There is both physical remains within the Marvel Jubilee. There's detailed anatomy, charts on a player's side, complete access to all meta information.
Okay.
Of all the creatures inside here, there are the most information on them. Now, individuals have not seen a mind flayer in well over decades. Thought to be extinct. Eradicated at some point in time during the Dun Vulcans' initial mining excavations inside the mountain. Unlike tales of other civilizations, the coin flipped and landed on the other side. The Dun Vulcans were able to isolate and eradicate the problem rather quickly within their history. There are no populations of dark iron dwarves or manipulations of the Dun Vulcans' culture. That is known. That would be the closest tangible creature that exists in your biosphere or existed that consumed or altered memories.
Okay, I think with that knowledge, I'd then like to, if I can, because I think he's already like, okay, this is going to be my first possible step forward, but he would like to research a bit more. Can you find any like stories, whether it's news stories or, you know, tellings from the person directly, or someone who has come across mind flayers and has had their mind altered, like almost like a the equivalent of like a psychology report on someone who has encountered a mind flayer, again just to see if he can find anything comparable with his experiences.
There is very detailed files from the Voshborg that involve thorough testing on mind flayers and the process of extraction. It's as deep as you want to go. No pun intended.
Yeah, he would like to see if there's any like reports, just like who's the most recent living person who's come across a mind flayer and survived. Have they written anything down? Has anything written about them been written down? He would like to research that and them specifically.
What you find is largely the other side of the coin. Experimentation of using the mind flayer's tools on scientific subjects and not of a self-diagnosis. Going further and further, there is a good deal put on the extraction of these memories. But not the feelings of loss or how to correct them. It doesn't look like there's been a bit of science dealt with trying to help any of those that have lost their memories. Only about obtaining them.
Yeah, I think, again, despite not being much of an academic themselves, that very clear bias towards obtaining rather than recovering or healing sends a shiver, a chill down Callisto's spine. But even with the little he has, I think he still comes out of this feeling a bit fulfilled, as before he had quite literally nothing. Is this the type of archive that I can take things out of here?
Invisibility.
And
I
then
made
your
interactions when in
memories will
Belgium.
forfeit.
I brought it back with me. I'm sorry.
How could you do this to us, Sam?
I didn't choose to touch the mind flayer. Yeah, I was like walking around eating her brains. It was hysterian.
Yeah, so I was just saying, I actually don't know how much you missed, but the main thing was I just asked, is this the type of library or archive? Because I don't know what it's like with Rushborg.
No. 1 second. Discord has to be reset. This has happened before. When things crash, Discord must also be reset. It gets finicky like that. And I can only do it through the task manager. Dun dun dun. Go. Now we will relaunch.
Ooh, heckin' good.
Awesome.
No, you.
We are back.
What?
And yes, the question that you have asked is if you can rent, return. Yes, you can. You can
Yeah,
remove stuff from the Marvel Jubilee.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'll take the specifics on the mind flayers. Not all of them, but I think just enough to, one, have like the meta knowledge in case we ever come across mind flayers, what exactly what not and what we can do, stuff like that. But also some of the accounts of the experimentation done on and with mind flayers, some of those as well. And yeah, I'll head back home, closing the doors to this archive behind me. Very happy to now be leaving this, honestly, as far as he's concerned, domain of the Voshborg, to head home to a more comfortable setting, at least for now, until you broach your topic of the trove.
They are thorough. Callisto, you are now trained in occultism.
Oh, okay.
Hey, look at you being so smart.
With the access to the Marvel Jubilee. I have changed it on your character sheet.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll just be heading back home now.
As Callisto heads back to the Amber Forge, and as Kaivar and Farouk stand outside, and as Mishkin enters, where is Lelufia?
probably after walking in initially, seeing as it is late and it is after dinner and whatnot else, she would have, just kind of fixing her demeanor as if nothing even went on outside, would just go and grab Ziva and bring him upstairs, prepare him for bed, and eventually get him tucked in, knowing that his dad's not gonna be home in the normal time to probably say goodnight, but reassuring him that she would make sure that Callisto would come and say goodnight later. And before kissing his forehead and tucking him in and doing the very motherly, like, tuck all around the edges and, like, probably tickling him along the way, she would say goodnight, close his door, and you could find her coming back downstairs.
Mishkin is waiting at the bottom, and you see his ears, long and tall as they are, just flick a little bit as you come down, and he nods at you.
Well, I could tell you can tell when I'm walking, she says, looking at your ears.
Is he tucked in?
Yeah, he's had a really good day, an easy day. What have you been?
Out and about, making friends, you know me.
No, I don't know you. That's why I asked. She would say, brushing past you. Not to leave the conversation, but just to get off of the staircase and out of the walkway.
I couldn't help but notice, a week ago, the
3
burns.
weeks ago.
Yes. The burns around your hands.
She hardens.
If you don't mind my asking.
If you're gonna ask, then ask. You've only mentioned.
Where are they from?
I don't know. But
In
they
the same place as your magic, perhaps?
my magic's innate.
And you are very powerful.
Mishkin, what are you asking?
I've traveled a very long time. And, in truth, I came to Stormforge expecting nothing but machinery and inventors and individuals much like your husband. And Mishkin stands. And yes, I find myself stood with an oracle, a priest, I'm not quite sure what our friend outside is, but also one of the more powerful magic users I have had the pleasure of meeting. I was just wondering if perhaps you might be willing to share a little of your story.
Of how I know my magic?
It is impressive.
Grew up, messed around, and eventually was able to train myself. But I was born with mine. Why did you go out and choose it? Magic can be cursed.
Yes, it can. But sometimes it is necessary. And, sometimes it is also necessary to understand those darker corners of both the world and ourselves.
How many schools of magic did you study in? You can obviously tell it's more than one.
I have lost count. And he moves over to the fire of the forge, and as he looks in, you see the fire reflecting off his glassy green eyes. I've travelled a long time, and I have learnt and observed from many individuals. Trying to understand as much as I can.
You said that you came here to find someone. Has it been a long time trying to find your purpose for coming here?
My purpose has not been hard to find. The people behind that purpose. That has been,
What is your why? Why do you choose this path? Why are you not home? Why are you with this group?
To be home is rather dependent on still having one. I am looking for people who took my home from me.
She immediately thinks of what she saw with Kaivar. Do you have any information on that? I mean, you survived. You would have to know something.
Mishkin looks you up and down. Before you see the sun pendant around his furred neck light and glow green, as a scaled, misty green hand appears at the end of his right wrist. And he plucks from his scarf a rusted cog and tosses it across to you.
She catches it and looks at it. Describe
Have
it.
you ever... It is nothing more than a cog. Simple, copper, rusted. But you can see that towards its top there is a hole where you would imagine once was threaded some kind of looped material, not unakin to a pendant. Have you seen its like before?
I don't know. Would I have RoBear? Is this something... Actually, this is for you, Ed. Would this be something that is from where you're from, or anything that
I need you
would be here?
to roll society. Do so with advantage.
Ooh. Okay. Okay, 20 not natural.
Only whispers of an organization that identifies with this object. You don't know their name. You know no members. It's like getting an insignia of an organization that you know nothing about.
Is there a feeling with this? When I touch it? Is there any energy, at least that Mishkin would know of? Or is it very still?
Only its own ominous mystery.
All right, what is this?
It is a symbol of hate.
A cogwheel.
Yes, a cogwheel. It, something that individuals like you and myself I will admit, when I first came here, I did not know if I could trust your husband. Of all of our group,
Why? She kind of grips this cogwheel a bit. Not as an anger, but as a reaction of protection. At your mention of her husband.
There is, an organization. They are artificers, scientists, tinkerers, but they are more than this. They do not simply distrust magic, as many in this city do. They abhor it. They see it as a cancer to be eliminated from this world, and unlike
A mechanical cuckoo clock goes off on the wall.
They are called the Silent Gear. I have been hunting them for some time.
What have they done to you?
They took from me everything. They took everything from me.
From your home?
Yes. Look, all I know, a few months ago I managed to, after years of searching, track down one of their ilk in the Forgotten Lands.
What ward?
That I do not know. It was in the Salt Lake Tundra, miles and miles from here. They are, these people, they're not like other scientists. They aspire towards ascension from flesh. They replace limbs, organs, parts of themselves. They see themselves as a next stage in evolution, one that seeks to, what we do, Lelufia, it is archaic, old in their eyes. They seek to bring about a new age. As far as I understand it. I believe they have people here. For what purpose, I do not know.
Interesting. And if you were looking at her, you could see the freckle in her right eye just kind of glow for a moment before it dims. And she would like wince at that and the thought and just all of this information of other people's homes being destroyed. And now these people have somehow made their way to her family You can tell through her hard exterior that this is stressful, but she doesn't look away from you. She listens, but she grips tighter on this cogwheel. What are you wanting from us? Do you need help? Is that what you're asking? If it's something to do with the Forgotten Lands, sure, I can actually really help there. It's my job.
And your home?
This is my home.
I would be lying if I said I could do this alone. I cannot. And in the relatively short amount of time that I have known all of you, you strike me as not only immensely capable, but also trustworthy. That is hard to come by. But I also realize that I tell you this next to the hearth of your home. I expect nothing.
Well, if you so desire help, you have to be willing to divulge to everybody here. I cannot speak for everyone, not even my husband. You have to trust them, too.
In the short amount of time we have known one another, I think something we have in common is that if we are asked, while we might not always be forthcoming, we will not tell a lie.
Well, I like that that's something we have in common then. I know you're telling the truth.
Do you mind if I ask you a, personal question?
A lot of these questions have been personal, Mishkin, but go on ahead. I love them.
I see no point in dancing around small talk and formalities. How long have you known Ziva?
That is an odd question to ask. Known him since he was about 3.
He's very lucky to have the both of you. Yes, you are. This beautiful boy.
Why do you ask?
I don't know.
Is it because I don't have a tail and ears? It's usually the first giveaway.
It is beautiful, truly. This home, the life that you and Callisto have built together.
Well, thank you. Speaking of, have you seen my husband while you were out? It's getting really late.
Yes, I believe he was, on his way to the library as I was coming away from it.
For this long?
I think this is when.
Against me? Because I just want
Oh no.
to see if I noticed that it was just the library.
So watch when she rolls a nat 20 on this.
Has Mishkin told a lie?
Where is my cinnamon roll?
I'm the bulldog. I forget, is insight perception or is insight its own?
Perception. Yeah.
Perception. Yeah.
It rolled off the 20. Oh my god.
It did. I saw it too. I was like, that would have been funny.
Oh, that would have been so
Try to
good.
deceive me.
Michigan just looks from you to the fire, and then hearing footsteps outside the Amber Forge, just nods at you and thank you for chatting.
Yeah, sure. And I'm assuming that's Callista, right?
Yeah,
You're
I think
flicking in
Callisto.
that direction, like she would look.
Yeah, it'd be Callisto. Just walking in. I don't think he brought his like bags with him. So under his arm he has a bunch of scrolls and books. As he tries to very quietly open the door and then close it behind him, assuming everyone's asleep, and try not to wake anyone up. And he'll be about to make his way up the stairs, but we'll be walking by the forge to do that, and we'll kind of stop as they see Leluthia, and I see Mishkin's still there.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
What's
it's
his facial expression?
oh.
How does he carry himself right now?
I'm gonna roll deception. Because I think he was originally carrying himself as in like, everyone's asleep, I don't want to make noise, so I'm gonna like make sure my footsteps as light as possible, stuff like that. But upon seeing Leluthia and Mishkin talking, I think he's gonna try to keep that that kind of body posture, but nope.
What are these rolls?
Yeah, I'll roll a separate perception just for this. Oh, just kidding.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it rolled off the 12. You could have had 24, 24, 24 from
We crit on 24.
ludicrous.
No, you had a 24 in your perception check previously, and I had a 24 in my deception just now. But yeah, I think it's very clear that there's a moment of, I think clear to Leluthia. I don't know if it's clear to Mishkin, but clear to Leluthia that there's a moment where he's like, it's very much like a, what are they talking about? Do I need to worry about what they're talking about? He walks in. Yeah. As he goes, it's late? Are you all
It is.
okay? Why are you still
Where
up?
have you been?
Just did some research as he raises the scrolls and books in his arms. I went to the, God, what was it called again? Marvel
Jubilee.
Jubilee, that's it. I was at the Marvel Jubilee to get some.
Do you have new dressings on your arm?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because the doctor did replace them.
You would see her just look down and look at you. Expression unchanged, but you know exactly what she looked at.
There's some stuff I need to show you.
Well, it sounds like you've had an exciting day. Yes, and she'll look at Michigan. Thanks for the chat. You might want to talk to others too. And she walks past him, over to Callisto.
And on that note, I'm going to let you guys refresh your beverage. Pop your popcorn. Here's the combo we're all been waiting for.
Oh, here it comes.
I don't like how much I've spoken this session. Quit talking to me.
Everyone is going to have a scene of Leluthia. That's the
It's like
episode
lolly
today.
week and I hate it.
Oh my god.
I don't want Mummy and Daddy to fight.
Oh man. I've been waiting for this for 2 weeks straight. I'm so excited we're here.
Oh,
I'm good with beverages. I literally have my water here and I don't need a bio break, so.
me too.
I actually gotta put ice in my water bottle, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm out over here. I'm sipping.
Also, like, any mention of mind flayers? Like, I love mind flayers so much, and I have never run or been in anything that involves them. So,
What?
any mind flaying lore drop. Ooh.
I haven't either, honestly.
Mm.
So this is very, very cool.
I guess we do a lot of psionics.
Yeah, you do.
And I think it's because every player doesn't get to do psionics in their game, and I just don't mind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, have fun. It seems like every time I encounter a player that's like, I never get to play with these. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all about it. Go for it.
I
don't bother
very
me.
recently, not very recently, but like recently, considering how long I've been playing, recently played in a game that had a dragon in it. Like hadn't played in a D&D game that had a dragon. A lot of the time it ends up just being like evil people that have been like the crux of the like campaigns I've been in. So a lot of like the quintessential monsters and stuff I've never actually really come across, other than like the typical like goblins and dire wolves and stuff like that.
No.
I always work in a dragon. There's no, there's. I take
I mean, you did that in episode 1 for us.
Yeah, it was metal, you know?
yeah.
I take the point of view that is kind of like Shadowrun, where where there's politics, there's a dragon somewhere.
That makes sense too, yeah.
They're old, man. They're old school. So they're in, whether it's a corporation or an institute of power, somewhere somebody there is a dragon, but I don't leave it to just dragons where it's like, oh, okay, there's one person assuming the role as a human. I'll usually interject a couple of ancient things that are there that are warring for power. So it's not just, oh, well, there's another dragon on the council. There could be a handful of things. It could be lingering.
No, I love it. I'm very curious about these man players now. And the Voshborg is exactly what I imagined of like science for the sake of science rather than science for the sake of like improvement.
Absolutely.
Like just for the sake of knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the further they go, the more they walk away from humanity.
Yeah.
Think of them. They're where there's the organization that we're talking about now with the cog that puts its trust into mechanics. It's how far can we push the biological?
Yeah.
How can you how far can you change on a genetic level what you are? Put a Voshborg and one of those other people in the room. It would be a very interesting conversation, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think the one classic D&D monster that I've always wanted to run or come up against is a Beholder, just because of how goofy they are.
You've never?
Oh, God,
Yeah.
No,
I've never I played in a one shot for the first time like last year before Gen Con. Was when I first played a Beholder. I'm not played a Beholder, fought a Beholder.
Oh,
okay.
The fear of a Beholder.
They're just
Doesn't get
fun.
much better.
They're fun little golf balls. I love them.
The game I played in was so unserious as well. Like, I've never played in a campaign with it. It was a one shot for Vanna's birthday. Havana Rama. Everyone should check her out on Twitter and follow Vanna on Twitch. She's great. But we played and it was so unserious because I played a tabaxi named Tom, and one of my friends Bobo played a rat folk named Jerry, and it was just me and him like chasing them around. Because at least in the fiction of the story, my character was like a mercenary. But Jerry had stolen my badge and was going around just committing horrific, like not horrific crimes. He wasn't killing anyone, but committing crimes as Tom. So I was chasing him down, trying to get my badge back, and maybe probably kill them in the process. It was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like a serious game. It's like a life or death situation with a beholder would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like I've not had a proper look through the monster manual in such a long time. It'd be really fun to just go through and kind of bookmark like a bucket list of monsters that I really want to have in a D&D game at some point.
If you were looking for a player.
Oh, always. I mean, I don't think we're ever not going to be working on TTRPG things. Ever, I think, Sam. I think one or the other of us is going to be roped in somehow.
True.
There's no escaping. It's like a whirlpool.
By the way, I was going to quickly say, also highly recommend the Toonfolk race is what I played. I flavored it as Tom, the Tabaxi, but Toonfolk is basically a homebrew race that basically is all of the things you love about cartoons, like Hammer Space. You get the feature Hammer Space where you can just pull out a weapon from thin air. Like if you critically fail a saving throw, like a dex save, for example, if you can choose to mitigate the damage taken from that and just describe yourself being like squashed down like an accordion or just whatever you want, like make it very cartoony. It was a lot of fun.
Ugh, my dream.
Sounds good.
An accordion.
That sounds absolutely hilarious.
I wish I could remember who made it. I looked it up. The image was on Pinterest, and I was like, "Can I play this race?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever." So it's a birthday one shot. Go ahead.
That's so good.
Y'all are all so good.
No, you.
So
Actually, no, us. We are so good.
I gotta say this too, real quick. Fucking 20s and ones, Sam. 20s and ones. Why is it always us?
Always.
One of us will either fail or succeed and the other will inverse it and it will just progressively flow. And I fucking love it, but it's like, I sat there and said only on a 20 or a 1, and I was like, RoBear's gonna do something. And I was like, I know this is gonna happen. I just felt it in the back of my brain, and then it manifested.
Balance. Oh, I was telling Ed that I was rewatching one of our campaigns we were in, and I was on the episode, where I got 3 nat 1s at once, and then my character died from it. But what was the worst was that I got 3 nat 1s in a row, and then the bad guy got a nat 20, and I was like,
yeah,
this sounds familiar.
Was this when you say previous campaigns, is this previous RoBear campaigns? As in
no,
Cantrip Breakers.
Cantrip Breakers.
Ah, on Cantrip Breakers. Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about a character
that
that
session where I came in crying, and it was after Toph had died like 2 months before, and I was like, I'm ready for today's scenes. Yeah, was that?
I hated it because that was literally the episode before I was coming on to guest again and come back as Kybist, and I was so ready to fucking save the day or just have like an emotional moment finally reading the letter to Asida, but no, Sam goes and rolls 3 nat 1s. It's like,
yeah, it was on an action
thanks,
surge
I guess.
too, so I was just like, there goes
yeah,
turn. Good times, good times.
It's the cosmic balance for the Forgemaster, frankly, 4 nat 20s in a single turn has to be replied with 3 nat 1s.
They just gotta get gooder than me. Sometimes you just get 4 nat 20s in a turn. And then you get 3 nat 1s in a turn. In balance.
Plus side, I think that you are due another spurt of excellent luck, though, and in good time for when we need it. And I'm very excited to see what that looks like.
I don't know.
With
I might use it
new
all
sword.
on that returning character that Biddy detests.
Oh,
there's a villain?
You mean Jacob, or?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I'm honestly not surprised, but also there's a part of me that is astounded by the restraint. Like, I held back because I was like, sworn to peace now, sworn to peace.
Mine was just
I sat
because
there
of
and I was
time.
like,
I noticed that Becca
Yeah.
had to go, so I was like, "Oh, Mudcat, you knew what you just got out of with me."
did you
Literally the
see
worst
his-
thing he could have said to Biddy.
Did you see his smile when he said it too? He was like,
Oh yeah,
I
we
know what
messaged
I'm
each
doing.
other. I was like, "That was so good. You're so diabolical." And he was like, "Hey, I forgot how to play him, but it worked."
It's absolutely
So,
what Jacob
yeah,
would do
for context,
too.
Jacob is a character from Meteorian Core that actually left, but it's Mudcat's character, and then he came in as Renwick in that art piece I saw. Aristarian. So yeah, he was playing both of him, and he's like, "Whoa, hang on, Whiplash. I don't know who I'm playing right now." An absolute.
I
jerk.
understand as someone who plays their entire extended family.
Please. Yeah.
I do enjoy, for various reasons, about which characters are more alive and dead, so to speak. I enjoy the fact that when we saw Renwick come on, it was like a complete foil to Jacob. Like, if you left those two alone in the room, they wouldn't get along. And that's kind of what I love about it, you know? Renwick was a kind of compassionate... Yeah, Renwick was a compassionate, caring
Ed fight with
father.
himself in roleplay. It's brilliant. I just want people to
It's
fight with
great.
themselves.
Man, that's got to be really tough.
Not when you're
Then again,
Edward Spence, the actor, for hire.
The man with multiple voices running around his head at any given time.
Ain't that a mood? I will say, if there is someone in Meteorian Core who could pull that off, 100% it's Mud, because he's literally done it before in the Baldur's Gate campaign. Like,
Yeah.
not to spoil anything, but yeah, there's a big part of character arc for good old Aloon things.
Ooh.
And why I will not say, and how that goes I will not say, but I should encourage you all to go and watch that Baldur's Gate 2 campaign because it's absolutely hilarious. And it's a very long 74 episodes, but it's so good. And I totally didn't just finish it within the last couple of weeks.
You just want people to talk about it with.
Please watch it so Bob has someone to talk about it with.
I get that. I always made Drag
I
give
mean-
me play-by-plays when he would watch my shows later.
Yeah.
In all fairness,
Every
man,
time it would
it's
start
always
with 3 nat ones, because nearly every game that I catch up on, Sam's rolling
Yeah.
either
Or it'd be all
terribly
capital,
or
Sam,
incredibly.
Sam!
Yeah.
Yeah. Right next on my list is Eden Falls, but every time I try and sit down and listen to it, something comes up and just bodies my schedule, and I'm like, well, save this for another
That's
time, I
so
guess.
fair.
30 minutes in,
Schedule
and I've, barely done the thing. See, this is what I need to do. I need to schedule time off. What a revolutionary concept.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I literally do as well. It's the only way I can
You
get
have
stuff
to.
off. My friend was like, we need to hang out. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm so busy. They're like, they always sit me down and be like, okay, then we're going to hang out from this time to this time. Are you free that day? And I'm like, yeah, I add it to my calendar. Like, no, I will send you a Google invite. We're going to hang out at that time.
The secret for the rest of you, you all just have to have one more absolute earth-shattering event. You have to have the economy collapse, a pandemic, at least 3 times. After the 3rd time, you stop caring about everything else. You do whatever you want because you realize you're playing on house money at that point. It is not yours to control. You just start enjoying life again, and you don't stress out. You
That's
sleep
when you
in.
do escapism in D&D. But you can catch up on all of these episodes on youtube.com/ what is it? Is it like C or creator?
just CaptainRoBear, is it?
Or it's like at, it's, y'all use the at symbol. There's
They
something
all
weird you
direct
can
there,
link.
which is great. So, like, if they mess it
Oh.
up, you can
All
still
of
get there.
those.
Yes. The worst part is, though, Sam, is I still have full-on dreams where I go to work and I wake up and I'm managing a fictional restaurant. Those are the worst.
Oh my gosh, I have to send you a video that I sent to Ed of a cat who, or a person got reincarnated as a cat who is now having to live their life as a cat making biscuits, like working at your own bakery.
This is amazing.
Is this an anime? This sounds like an anime title.
Nope.
Nope.
like an old restaurant owner reincarnates as a cat and has to run their own bakery in another world is literally just an anime title.
Yeah, but it was like a depressed cat too, so you gotta add that in there.
Reincarnated as a depressed cat. Just run their own bakery in another world.
Reincarnate into Fishtifer pre-adoption.
So,
I don't know if people know Fishtifer.
enough stalling.
Yes.
Picking up where we left off.
Listo kind of leads Lelufia over to one of the tables that usually Ifjin is working on. I think Ifjin right now has probably gone to sleep. I think it was maybe a slow day. Or at least a day that they had already finished with a lot of the commissions they had on the list, so aren't working overnight like they usually do. And Kalista moves aside some of the swords and shields that she's left over, kind of hanging them where they're meant to be. So I think even at his grown age, fully knows that if he moves it around and not in a place where it's meant to be, Ifjin will chew him out for hours on end. And then sets the books and numerous scrolls he brought from the Marvel Jubilee down. And I think first opens up one of the books to almost like the title page, or chapter page, which I think from what the way you've described Voshbor probably is not very catchy. It's very much probably like a full sentence, like a scholar's, like a academic article. And kind of where the academic mumbo jumbo is very clear that it's about mind flayers. As I kind of tap at it and then look up at Lufia. I think I might be on to something. The whole thing that went down below with wherever that creature was, that Chrissy accidentally summoned. You know how I don't remember a lot before
Yes.
I arrived here. And I feel like I need to. I feel like it's reaching a point where I really need to know. And wherever that was down there made me think maybe there were other creatures, other things that could take or alter memories. I mean, it clearly wasn't that thing. I guess maybe it was, maybe it could have been. I don't know, but when I killed it, Mishkin and Chrissy were able to get their memories back. They were able to just grasp it, but nothing came out of it for me, so I'm assuming maybe that isn't the thing. But there are things that can do that, and so I did some digging, and it turns out there are a lot of things that can do that. Honestly, a kind of upsetting amount of things. I actually kind of wish I didn't know how many dangers there are to our memories and what we know and don't.
Would that be something that we know? Or if there's anything within Stormforge, RoBear, that we've heard of or seen?
In reference to, I'm sorry.
My words. How people lose their memories.
Inside the city itself, that kind of talk is much more upper city, involving ghosts, spirits, sprites. Would be considered woo-woo talk within the city. But you know that outside the city there are monsters very, very, very capable of this. But anything that would report that inside Stormforge city limits would be considered taboo.
Okay. Sitting next to you, and she would have had like herself kind of leaned over with her elbows laying upon her legs. She cups her hands together and looking down at the book. All right, so what'd you find out?
Well, for one, I didn't bring these because I thought maybe that was a stretch, but there are some creatures that become more and more interested in the memories and what you know, the more you shift back and forth between realms and planes. But that seemed a bit much for what I was looking for. I don't think I'd traveled nearly enough between realms by then. But again, I wouldn't know. But mind flayers are the only ones within our region, within our realm, that really matches what I think I'd gone through. But as far as we're aware, they haven't really been a thing anymore for a long time. So I'm kind of took a step forward, but right into a dead end, I guess. I don't know.
Question, Bife, really quickly. Would you call what we saw a realm, or is it a plane, or... I'm trying to get verbiage here right.
You're talking about while you're remote viewing?
Yeah.
That was real.
It is a... Yeah, so a physical place.
I know. I'm not saying it was fake. I'm saying, what would you call that? Like, did we? Because we didn't plane shift or something like that. Were we viewing your world? Could you, if you came through a portal, or would it be your realm?
Yeah. So from the context of everything, this is a massive psychic connection that was going out to Kaivar's mind and to everyone else within the swarm, so to speak, and the actual physical placement of being inside that hivish structure, it is a real place, but in Kaivar's mind, it's much more of a mental connection. Remote viewing is actually a very good word for it. You weren't plane shifted, you were a passenger to the mental journey that Kaivar had taken, so to speak. He was still in that physical place, his mind had been drawn in somewhere else. I'm not sure if that clarifies everything for you.
Race thing that you're able to do, or was this like a spell?
Oh, it's absolutely racial. Like, this is a trait of Kaivar's people. When his antennae started standing up on end and twitching like receivers, that's very much the hint to it. No magic involved on his end. Imagine that he's been pulled in and summoned at that point. But it was prompted by I will let you know that it was very much prompted by the realization of the information that Farouk had told him with regards to what he saw and whether it was past, present, or future.
So there's the ability to see past, present, or future.
I mean, on Farouk's side of things, yes, but I will let you know that it's that information that prompted all of this to be brought into focus, so to speak. Because of the fact that you rolled a nat 20 on the perception way back, I will also let you know that from that moment, it's very clear that Kaivar's not completely alone in his head, so to speak. There is something very passive that's picking up on things.
Oh, okay. And yeah, because that's what I'd asked about when I said perception.
Yeah.
In your head, so.
Yeah, it's very much one of these things of like, it's not as though Kaivar is one of two drivers in his head. It's a little bit more like he's one of 10,000 channels on a TV that you're watching all at the same time. Who you is in that context, you don't know.
Okay. You can continue. Drac, I just needed that information for potential proceeding conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, so he kind of points at some of these experimentations as well. Again, from what CaptainRoBear described, they're very unemotional and purely from a academic standpoint, where they just want to see what happens. And it kind of points to some of the results of people's memories being lost, or altered, or cut and paste, and kind of points to that and goes, I mean, it kind of fits. It's not anything extreme, like complete altering, but being able to remove the memories makes sense. Honestly, I don't know. I just think right now I need to know.
Do you know
This
where
is
to
the
go for more
closest.
information? Or someone to talk to?
Maybe. Maybe. I think I need to find. I think I really need to find the trope
Why?
for this. And he kind of folds his arms, but grips his bad one a little bit.
She immediately would look at that. Did you see your doctor today?
Yeah.
And what did he say? Because this isn't how you usually return.
There are
Because of
very, very interesting marks on that wrapped gauze. That are not blood.
If I were to try to check to see if I knew this, would it be a Arcana Society or medicine?
What are you trying to check?
I'm trying to check if I know these markings on this gauze, as if it is something medicinal that is utilized
Roll
here.
medicine check.
Okay, now my other question is, I can't remember what feat you made me take that made everything else good except for my actual medicine check. So it's only a +2. Can I roll something else? Because I would obviously have medicinal knowledge, but a +2 is crap.
Roll your spell attack.
Okay. Oh, that roll. 17.
I don't know what the markings on this gauze are.
Okay, what do they look like, though? Like, are they different colored than the gauze? Or are they more like an emboss?
It's like when you go into... I'm definitely dating myself on this. Theme parks are tourist traps that sell a lot of different collective stones, like Fool's Gold and Galena and crystals. After you pour through filling up your little leather pouch with all sorts of cool looking rocks, there is that just dust and residue of stone and ore. It's that kind of residue, but it's bleeding up. It's not dusty on the outside. It is coming up through the gauze.
She is gonna reach out her hand to touch it, but to look at you first for permission.
I think there's a moment where he usually when you reach out for his arm, you don't even need to close the distance yourself. He closes it as well. He meets you halfway. But I think in this situation, he doesn't move. He doesn't pull away, but he doesn't close the distance. As he again kind of holds his arm as he crosses them, and is very, very clearly avoiding eye contact, eyes still fixed on the books and scrolls he took from the Marvel Jubilee.
Okay. She would respect that and just pull away. And look up to you. What did he say?
He kind of taps a finger against one of the books, not to point anything out, but kind of he's very clearly scared, nervous, something in between that. As still staring down at the scrolls and books he'd taken out. He said, I need to figure out how to fix this because he can't help anymore.
So we told you to go to the Trove?
No, actually, he didn't.
Oh my gosh. Please don't. Just be clear with me. Quit jumping around the table.
He sighs. Again, still, he's finally pulled his gaze away from the scrolls and the books, and he's looking in Luthier's general direction, but still not making eye contact. As he says, there is a chance that whatever is going on will only get worse and might be...
Great, another one.
Yeah. Might result in me losing my arm in
What?
best case.
Why?
Frankly, I wish I knew. And I think the doc wishes he did too.
Do you need to find a different doctor? Do I need to learn more?
You're doing more than anyone can really ask you to do. The doc suggested I go to a temple of some kind and see if any clerics or priests there can figure out what's going on. He thinks it's beyond just medicine, but something deeper. Maybe magical, maybe spiritual. I don't know. I don't think he really knows.
Magical, we can ask Farouk. Why does it have to be this temple? Why can't it be something we can find here?
I mean, I'm willing to try. I want to roll for that because I think even as he says that, I don't think he even really believes that part. So I won't even roll deception. I think it's very clear that even as those words leave his mouth, he's always had an aversion to temples, really, like places of worship, religion. It's never been a case of very obvious and violent phobia or hatred for it. But whenever we've had the option of, I don't know, maybe a friend invites us to a temple for whatever reason, he always tells you, I really don't want to go. Can you cover for me? Or something like that. It's just like he's never wanted to be around that kind of thing. And you can see that seems to be very strong in him even now when it seems like that might be the best case for his recovery.
Just to give audience perspective, to think about the different levels of divination, there are some that dance for answers, and there are still some that, like our medieval times, take the liver from a goat and divine individuals' futures based off the spots on it. The practice of divination runs a large spectrum and can be very, very unscientific and unsettling.
And I think I will also say, because I think it's definitely a thing that Lelufia will notice or know, it's never about like what they do is strange. He's never been like the liver thing. He's never been like, I feel really uncomfortable with them doing that thing with the liver. It's always just been like a very weird. I think you would have noticed that even he's not entirely sure why he's averse to it. It's just like the mention of it is like, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to be around that. And most of his life he's been able to calmly talk his way out of having to do that, and he's never had the been forced or obligated to do that, because for the most part people have kind of respected it. But yeah, as he says that he's more than willing to give it a try, it's very clear that that same hesitation is in there, as again kind of refuses to look into your eyes. I'm just thinking maybe if I'm able to understand what I was before I came here, I could figure out what's going on with me now.
Yeah, but what if that leads you to dying faster than just losing an arm? These are things you have to think of. You have to think of your moms. And Ziva. We were gone 3 days, but it turns out it was 3 weeks. What's gonna happen next time?
I'm either going to die not knowing or die knowing. It kind of seems like my only two real options right now. And of course, I hope there's a third way I survive. And that's what I'm aiming for. I have no intention of dying. I have no intention of leaving you or Ziva or my parents behind. I very much enjoy living. I'm just trying to live longer.
For someone speaking of no intention to, you speak with very clear intentions, Callisto.
What do you think I should do then? Because at this point, I don't know. We talked to some of the best doctors about whatever the hell is going on with my arm, and they have no clue. You're probably one of the most skilled magic users I know, and you weren't able to divine, figure out what exactly is going on. It's my body, and I don't even know what's going on. At this point, I'm just a constant liability with a job and just general peace of mind.
I had a talk with Kaivar and Farouk today. And I don't know if this is anything possible or even if it makes sense, but I was able to see into Kaivar's mind. And with Farouk's help, they were able to pinpoint when that time was. I can't think of anything else that makes sense, especially if you've already tried everything. But I don't like the idea of just going willy-nilly to a temple that we've never been to, that we don't know of. But we can try something else. Maybe with them. It would have to be more divine. Which I still know is not what you enjoy. However, it's better than jumping into the deep end. Please.
A moment of silence as he stares down at the table. Kind of hand over his mouth. And he silently nods. Yeah. We can speak to Kaivar and Farouk and see if they can figure anything out with what they do.
Okay. And she would get up and lightly just brush over your shoulder as I didn't reach out for your arm, but I still wanted you to make sure you knew that, the distance was closed. But she would walk out. Knowingly you would figure that she's trying to go and find potentially Kaivar and Farouk.
On that note, is this conversation happening in the actual backroom forge part of the Ember Forge, or is it happening at roll a perception check, not a high DC.
Are you in the cupboard?
Yes. I'm absolutely in the cupboard. But regardless, roll that perception check. I'm going to roll.
Okay, just kidding.
Yeah, no, there's no.
Why not?
Hi, Var.
There is no way that you don't see me, even as I roll stealth at super disadvantage, and I'm throwing a -4 on top of this as well, just as a thing. Yeah, it is a thing that is very easy to notice when you actually head in that direction. Kaivar's inside the cabinet. He's curled up in the corner, holding the Vox in his hands. Still got one of those grasping arms on the book. But he is very shrunk into the corner compared to usual. Normally he allows himself to fill out the space of the cabinet. This time he is shrunk away. And something that feels like it should be really telling is the fact that as you look over, you notice that he has deliberately placed the blanket that V gave him on the other side of the cupboard. And it's deliberately put on the furthest scale away, almost as though he's not allowed anymore. He's still got that very dejected look on his face as well. Doesn't even sort of react to you walking by at first. Hasn't reacted to the conversation. Has not been tuning in this whole time. Like, even if it was even if it was one of those things of I would have been asked to roll perception, I would have only treated it as Kaivar tuning in on a nat 20 kind of thing. Like, he is in his own head right now. It does not take a lot to tell that.
Olivia would walk by noticing that you're there, and so then not wanting to give any energy to anybody else other than her husband right now, she would pay you no mind as she went and found Farouk. But Callisto would also see you, so.
I'm over in the main room with the forge.
Okay, she'd be headed that way then. But if Kaivar and Callisto have anything.
I think Callisto's pretty much Callisto's in their own head as well, I think. Especially with what essentially, like, not fully equivalent, but he's basically preparing himself for exposure therapy, I think is like the best way to put this. Very purposely putting himself in a thing that he's not comfortable with. It's kind of like trying to get himself in that headspace, trying to essentially psych himself up, for lack of a better term.
We are that meme of the cat standing on its two back legs, looking over a wall and being like, man,
But they're like, yeah, that's perfect.
It's like 1,000-yard stare. Like, this shouldn't be. This is not normal.
Are you headed
Did y'all-
towards me?
Well, I was letting Drac and Bife have a thing together, but I guess y'all didn't want to.
Yeah, no, Callisto is in his own head. He's trying to psych himself up for whatever's about to come next. Because it's going to be, at the very least, going to be involving the divine. And that is very much a thing that he's just not comfortable with. So it's kind of getting himself in the right headspace for that.
Sorry, Lolly,
So
you
I
left
don't
Kaivar in the
notice.
fetal position. You know?
That's fine. I also left my husband burning.
I mean,
I have
listen,
bigger
it's-
priorities.
Lolly does.
Mm-hmm. All due
Um,
respect, he's just a buggy boy, and he ain't no Callisto. Look at that tall 6 foot something man. Beautiful hair. I
Yeah,
get
it's your type. All right, well then I guess just walking past, if you wanted to, Vert could see her just coming in a little bit faster than she normally walks. Her pace has picked up. And she looks a little bit more shaken.
I'll avert my gaze from the fire.
There's something wrong.
Yes. It's a lot, evidently, and I don't recall, did Callisto and Farouk have a talk about his burns, or was that Callisto and Michigan?
Did we talk
Or
about
was
the
it both?
burns? I know we had a discussion about
This-
Farouk's
The
general
free thing.
culture. They're being
In
free to,
the-
yeah.
Back in the shrine, I know this because I rewatched the episode that I missed. There was the moment at which Farouk ignited his entire body, talked about everything that was going on with his culture. Yeah, and that kind of stemmed from him looking at your arm and understanding the elemental abilities there. There was also a
Yeah.
conversation with Mishkin where he shared some of his elemental resistance, which hopefully numbed the pain on your arm a little bit. So there's a couple of conversations that have run around in the past.
At the very end of last episode, Mishkin and Callisto have the conversation about roundabout way of needing something from the trove, but it is not directly referenced that I have molten lava pouring out of my arm. You guys dance around it and talk more about I think I need something.
Wouldn't it be good if maybe there
Yeah.
might be a
Yeah.
thing? Maybe.
Oh, the trove!
I think
Get some lettuce!
I was just making sure that
Yeah.
Farouk would know what she's saying when she
Yeah.
approaches.
Farouk, I
But,
think everyone has seen the scars. I don't think he's I think everyone has seen it because at the very least in the first fight, his bandages pretty much fully ignited and were burned away. So everyone has seen it before. So at the very least, you'd know that. And I think we have briefly mentioned it to Farouk, but I've definitely discussed it more with Mishkin.
Okay. All right. Yeah, actually, it's Callisto. You've seen his arm, right? Everyone's seen his arm.
Indeed. Does he need
Evidently.
consultation?
I don't know what he needs. I just know that those 3 weeks went by a lot faster than his body could keep up.
I see. Is this your roundabout way of asking if you would like my help to take a look at it?
Yes, I would like your help.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And she would just about face and walk right back, not wanting to waste any time.
I will get up and follow. I'm going to roll a perception check, though.
For Kaibar. So if
I'll
you
put
don't
it this
see
way:
him,
the
I'll
only way you
figure it
miss
out.
me is a 1.
Oh my!
Oh, manifested it. God.
I was.
I'm a plus 17, dude. I'm a plus 17. Not much get
Yikes.
past these old Wertherman eyes. But I'm focused on Lolly. I totally walked
Yeah.
past you in the cabinet. God, it is 16 candles Kaivar edition.
As
I
for
will.
Rook, would be right behind her. She would actually stop at the cabinet and allow you to pass and kind of motion toward Callisto. And because she did see Kaivar earlier, she would look into the cabinet and just knock on the wood. I need you.
That, especially seeing Farouk walk past as well, Kaivar is aware, and then you knocking and saying, I need you. It's like a lightning rod for his attention. It draws him out of everything that he's doing, almost with a bit of a start. It's almost like he's seen something that he's afraid of for a split second and then realized it was you. And sheepishly, not really knowing what's going on, just sort of wanders out of the box and follows and tries to observe the situation.
All right, Callisto. Let them know at least what's going on. And also, if Michigan wants to see this, because I don't know where you went, like, you're more than welcome to be a part of this. She just wouldn't have been one seeking you out.
Actively caught up with you, yeah.
But it wasn't like a secret.
Yeah, Mishkin has been nearby and was trying to listen to as much of Lelufia and Callisto's conversation as possible, but wasn't able to gather all of it. But
I mean, we're Forge buddies. We sit in that warm room a lot.
Yeah. So Mishkin's there, yeah.
I think Callisto. It's that weird kind of. Lelufia told him exactly who's going to be coming. They knew he was going to get Farouk and Kaivar, but it's the weird like disconnect of. Yes, I know 3 people are going to be here watching me, but now that I'm seeing the 3 bodies, God, there's a lot of people watching me right now. kind of feeling, as they nod, yeah, and we'll start unwrapping their arm, for the first time in front of everyone since the 3 days/3 weeks. And as he does, I think the first thing you notice, maybe specifically Lelufia, but then I think everyone else will catch on to this as well, is that sometimes when we wrap my arm up, we wrap it up further than the wound extends, always just like kind of precaution kind of thing. But as I unwrap the first few loops, you realize that length of the arm is wounded. Before it wasn't, and that was kind of just wrapped up for just like safety measures. But the first loop, you immediately see that scarring as he unloops further and further and further up his arm. At this point, it's spread past his elbow and is like at the halfway point of his forearm. Around there, the wound doesn't look too different than it used to. But as you go further up, you see the skin is darker, matching more and more like igneous rock. I think beforehand you'd see a glow of almost what seems to be lava beneath the skin, but now you can actually see like droplets of it seeping through the cracks. I'd imagine that wherever this gauze is fairly fire resistant, which is why they use it for this wound specifically. But even then, you can see like as it drops and hits the table, some of the droplets hit the table. You can hear the momentary sizzle of lava very rapidly cooling and then hardening on the surface of the table. And he unwraps all the way up to his arm. And again, I think everyone would know this, but Lelufia would know as well. But the scar has always continued onto his chest and part of his abdomen, but it's stretched a lot further as well as he takes off his unbuttons his shirt and starts to unwrap the torso bandages as well. And at this point, where it was originally just like almost like patchwork on the sides, is reached and kind of stretched over closer to his sternum and center of his abdomen. And again, as it reaches, it's almost like the focal point of the whatever it is around the shoulder, and that's where the darkest of the scarring is, and it lightens up a little bit as it spreads out from there, but not enough for it to be unnoticeable. And yeah, he shows that wound. He's kind of sat there with an unbuttoned shirt and sleeves rolled up as high as they can.
Jesus, Lathander, Osiris Christ.
Lolly wouldn't say anything, but her eyes would widen and she would just stiffen and look at you.
You see Kaivar's attention, as Farouk exclaims that, shifts from Lolufia to your arm, and it's almost like you see a shiver going down his body, but it's not just a shiver of kind of like, oh gosh, what is this dangerous thing that's in front of me right now? His body actually reacts as I use Masquerade of the Season stance, and reflexively I give myself resistance to fire, seeing that that's coming off of your arm. Like, this is very much a thing of Kaivar does not even realize he's done this. It's just, it's like hairs standing on end.
Mishkin does not react, but instead looks for Lelufia's reaction.
Yeah, it seems like, for reasons I don't really understand, and neither did my doctor, while I and we only really experienced 3 days down there, I don't know, whatever was causing this experienced the 3 weeks and progressed as such.
Callisto, without your ancestry, anyone else would be wreathing in pain, day and night. How did this happen?
For one, I am pretty much constantly in pain, but, you know, you get used to it after a few decades.
Decades. Were you born with this mark?
No. No, I look to... I first got this when we met, the mark itself, but the pain has always been a dull thing in the background for as long as I remember. I guess the physical manifestation of it, and the learning that it wasn't normal to just constantly feel an ache in your bones, that happened when we first. I erupted, I guess for lack of a better term, while I was out down below in the Forgotten Lands, working on my section, my ward. Again, this is before Lelufia and I met. A creature charged out of the mountains and the mines near the section I kind of manned. And it was my job to try and calm it down, stop it from escaping, harming any adventurers. Quite frankly, I'm fairly certain it was an adventurer that riled it up in the first place. But then it ended up in Lufia's section of the Forgotten Lands, and I hadn't been a warden for very long. The last thing I wanted was to make a bad impression on a fellow warden, so I tried to stop it. And in the panic, frustration, and I honestly don't know what it was, but I erupted my arm, and he holds up the bad arm, bursts into flames, and at first it was just terrifying that I did that. I'd never done that before. But then it became terrifying because it began to hurt a lot. It scared away that beast, but not before I set some of Leluthia's ward on fire. Silver lining, if I didn't, maybe I would never have met her. And you can see that was a very clear attempt of lightening the mood, but seeing it not land, he kind of averts his gaze. So I'd say about 8 years. The mark itself. The dull pain, about 50 years.
And if it helps informationally at all, I only became a healer because of Callisto. Because whenever we did meet, I didn't know what to do. I was trying to help somebody who was in the middle of a burning forest. But when I touched his arm, just trying to help these, and she's lifting up her hands and kind of showcasing either side of her arm. These flecks of golden and white specks that I have upon the green parts of my body. They begin to glow and swirl, almost like clouds encircling up my forearm. And it just gave me an ardor that I'd never felt and no one had ever seen, but it worked. I don't know if it was divine, but it's what's kind of concealed it. And I don't know if I can do that again.
So now I have gone to several doctors, and none of them are entirely sure what is wrong with me. My current doctor has been able to make a salve of some kind with a few medicinal herbs and some water that we usually go down to the shrines down below to collect. And that's been enough to slow down the spread, sometimes on a good day halt it. But sometimes when I run into clockwork dragons that breathe fire, or just work on an especially warm day, it aggravates it. More so when I use my own flames. I have had to the past couple of weeks. And I guess where you come in, and I'll gesture to Kaiva and Farouk, I don't know a lot about myself. As you can probably guess, I'm not biologically Ifdrin or V's child. They adopted me. But they, and frankly I, don't know from what or who, what life I lived before then, and if it has any correlation to what's happening to me now. And I thought maybe if I figured out what I was before, I can figure out what is going on now. So.
But this is a very outside the box kind of question, RoBear. Could I roll Bardic Lore to see if, based on what I've seen of Callisto's arm, that I've heard of anything that looks like this, you could potentially understand more about his ancestry.
Would be
Very much
nat 20
minor.
territory. A very particular set of instances here.
Worth giving it a go.
No way.
20s and 1s, baby.
There's literally no
Wait, that means
way.
I'm next with a 1. But that's okay, because this is worth it.
Yep.
What
this
the
is
hell?
Good. Sorry for throwing that spanner in the works there.
Dice tell the
Bife.
story.
Keep calling rolls, Bife.
So, regardless of what the creature was, you realize that this bite has manifested something inside Callisto that has developed over time. Kaivar, if this were a symptom of a bite from a creature, it would have long since been tended with. You distinctively know that the problem is not the bite of a creature, but something inside Callisto.
To clarify that, the bite obviously would have fallen off, but the bite itself was a catalyst that awakened this thing? Would you say that's accurate?
Manifested would be a word I would choose.
Looking at Callisto's arm, Ivar is going to gently and with a lot of nervousness sort of walk forward and sort of looks through, kind of rotating his head around, trying to get a good view of Callisto's arm as he does all this. Slowly seeing marks that he kind of understands and kind of recognizes. He's heard of things like this before and understands that it is not to do with, as you said, the bite of the creature. Great warrior Callisto, this wound is from you, yes? Creature who fight you, yes? It
Yeah.
did not do this, yes? Yes? This
I mean,
always with you, yes? This awakened, but always slumbers beneath, yes? As Kaivar tries to communicate that idea that the creature has been something that has manifested it, but is not truly the root cause of the problem.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, yeah, like I said, I've always had the aching, like the burning feeling, like not quite underneath my skin, but almost like that space between the bone and muscle. I've always had that. It just worsened with this and around here quite specifically.
It's deeper than bone, yes? Is, your... And Kaivar searches for the word for a moment. You can see his mandibles kind of like shift around uncertainly, almost like there's a leftover taste of something. Is in your blood. Yes, 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 no.
He looks... I think he looks a little bit scared right now. He's not entirely sure how to answer any of these questions. He's been trying to find the answers himself for a while now. So he just kind of shrugs and then nods and then shakes his head and then shrugs again and just, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I showed up here 50 years ago. No memories of anything prior. Hungry, exhausted. From the description, Ifjin gave me a little bit beat up. And no memory of who I was and where I'd come from. I'd just shown up. On that step, as I point to the front door of the Amberforge, anything could have happened before then. Maybe I could figure out what could have happened before then, and if it has anything to do with what's happening now. Because my first memory is waking up with that dull pain in a unknown room that my now mums had set up for me. If I can remember a time before then, before the pain, or when the pain started, or just anything before then, maybe it can be a clue to what exactly is happening to me. That's what I've been thinking. Whether or not I'm right is a whole separate thing. But it's the only unknown I have in my life right now, other than this arm, this wound. And I hoped maybe making the unknown known would make some connection, some step forward in figuring out this other unknown, as he gestures to his arm.
Callisto. 8 years ago, who knew?
Who knew about
Who
what,
knew
my arm?
that this happened?
Well, of course, Lelufia, my son, Ziva, my parents, not on the day, but soon afterwards, most of the doctors at our local hospital knew. I was kind of passed around from doctor to doctor as they tried to figure something out, but none of them really could. I didn't hide it from any of the wardens. If they were going to work with me, I wanted them to know exactly what I was capable of and not capable of. So I'm sorry, but it might honestly be easier to list who doesn't know. Or at least it might be easier to list who doesn't know about the wound. How exactly it happened, specifically the wardens know, and the doctors.
What are you thinking, Farouk?
"8 years ago brings back hard memories. "8 years ago, several suffered. Those fires. Someone had to be the ones to blame. Oh, within your circles, it may have been easy to know. But out of control fires, fingers only point to the sky. Their names that we will never forget. Miriam, Nathaniel, Jacoby, Danash, ones that are no longer with us. So young to shoulder the blame. They were only kids.
Is this something we would have heard of?
Possibly.
In their 20s. Someone always needs an answer. I know of your character. And I'm sure if you would have known, things had been different. So is the plight of Upper City. These horns pay a price. And sometimes that price is blood.
Rook is just
I
going
want you
to
to be frank with me.
stare at his arm.
They were killed because they were blamed for the fires.
Yes.
And who made that call?
The Royal Academic Board of Stormforge.
How quickly did they make that decision?
They were taken from their beds.
Would Lelufia be able to pin this as something that was kind of similar to the other week with her son and Colby and friends? Or is it just because of a curfew with the dragon?
It would be the first taste of the middle class and above feeling what happens on a much more regular basis in the upper city.
Remember the headlines? They control the narrative.
I think Callisto kind of looks off into the middle distance, kind of thumbing their teeth, almost like they want to bite on their nails, but are kind of stopping just short of that. And while his appearance appears quite calm, almost verging on placid, his now exposed arm, I think you see the glow of the lava-like veins and cracks brighten, and more droplets of molten rock leap from those cracks.
Callisto. Time of healing is now. You must come with me to the upper city. All of you.
That is where we will end this week.
Wow, that got real serious. Oh my goodness.
Thanks for writing an awesome backstory.
My pleasure? Question mark.
You didn't do it. Academic State did.
Ooh.
The plot thickens.
For everyone. Oh my gosh, you all just unloaded on Lolly today. What am I, a therapist? Dear Jesus. The most emotionalist one just getting beaten.
Exclamation point,
I
rolls
didn't know it
eyes.
was going to be coming to Lelufia.
Oh my god.
So, Drac, the minute
That's
that
why
I
whenever you
read
said something, Callisto, she was like, yeah, of course, again. Let's here we go.
your
Roll credits.
backstory about the fires, I was like, yep, 100%. I said, some of my people are going to get blamed for it. And I was like, when you played it off that you like don't want to go to the upper city and all this stuff, like, oh, this just keeps getting better. Oh, this is going to be a great drop whenever it gets to this point.
All limbs
Oh.
of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Now the
Remember.
upper city trip is real awkward.
Yeah. Got multiple layers of it now for Callisto.
Oh, this is so
Ooh.
good. This is so good.
Cannot wait.
Oh, I want to play
there's a
4 more
plan.
hours.
Okay.
I'm right there.
God, I wish I could.
Yeah, now let's do it.
Oh. Looking at the time is the worst thing about running APs when I have to look down and go, but I wanna go later. Oh. Wow, heavy stuff. Poor Kaivar, poor Callisto, poor Lolly.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm very glad that I ended up rolling that first one though. Cause like thinking about it now and thinking about how it played out, you guys got a lot. But you just stopped short of getting some real insight, and there's some cool ways
Yes.
I can reveal that soon if the things come up.
We-
I'm very, very excited.
I was
for
like,
that.
I was ready to cut it, and you were like, cut it. It's like, hammer don't hurt him. We got more.
Yeah.
Now we get. Oh my god, we really there are Man, nobody's good here, are they? They're not. Nobody feels real good. The Voshborg or shit. The folks. I don't know if you've revealed the name in show. I can't remember, Michigan. The organization behind the gear.
I gave.
You did, yeah. Silent Gear.
Silent Gear.
Okay. So you did say it. So I can say it. I can remember if you did or not. Yeah. So we have the Silent Gear, Voshborg, and then the academic state of Stormforge. The official board mentioned this time. All kinds of awful factions.
I love it too, because it's like, this is totally what happens whenever you sit there and you have like a regime that is oppressive in the application of its view. Like, no wonder there's a... Nearly swore there. No wonder there's a ton of divination in the upper city limits. It's like, yeah, of course that's where magic of that particular nature, something that states there is divinity, gets sort of banished. Like, it totally makes sense, you know? It would be like someone who's practicing science in the times of, it's like Castlevania. Someone tries to practice science, they think it's witchcraft, they burn them at the stake. They unleash the burning and destruction of Targavishta, like bits and pieces.
And in particular, this talk of the portal in the Undermountain and where these Afrits and Suli and folks that worship the sun, where they all came from. There's a general disdain and people don't believe them. And they're just like, why did we end up with all of these folks here that can literally burn entire parts of our city down or forests? Or there's they believe that they're the ones that play with fire and don't have control over it. So there is a general bias when it comes to them. And they're also, the poorest, most impoverished part of the city, so they also have a much, much smaller voice.
Yeah.
I am interested to see Callisto's face when he sees our sunset ceremony where we manifest molten lava and rock. We'll have to see.
We're gonna have to see.
We will have some conversations, Drac.
Please, man, my DMs are open. I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm his wife. I have to be in these.
Which, by the way, everyone, we do have
no marriage contract.
We have a Callisto Lufia joint.
Yeah.
Before we leave, anybody that's doing anything this week, shout out where you're going to be or what you're doing.
I will. I'm going to shout out something. Hi, I'm Drac, you know me. But the biggest thing I want to announce is that this week, was it this week? Time is weird, but I think this week or last week, can't remember which, I announced that I'm running a Kickstarter for an actual play podcast and stream called Beyond the Brook. And we've been going to slowly start showing off the cast that we have prepared for it. We recently revealed that we have Black Girl Mage or Lexi McQueen as one of the players for Beyond the Brook. If you're curious about what that is, Beyond the Brook is an actual play podcast and stream that is based on Over the Garden Wall, Adventure Time, other kind of like family-friendly shows that if you watch it as an adult, you realize how unsettling it is. That kind of vibe, where a bunch of kids, living and sentient creatures, and sometimes living and sentient toys, have been lost in the woods and are trying to navigate their way back home while running across very strange and surreal denizens of the forest and running away from a not so good being that seems to lurk in the shadows, waiting for the best time to strike. If you want to check that out, you can follow me on Twitter at Draconics, and that's DRAKONIQUES. I have the link to that in my pinned tweet, or you can just go into Kickstarter and search Beyond the Brook and Over the Garden Wall inspired actual play, and you can see that there and be notified when the Kickstarter goes out. It is sponsored by Die Hard Dice, and I literally just got an email about it that they're going to be creating custom dice for their campaign. So if you want to get those, they're going to be exclusive only for people who back the Kickstarter. So go check that out on Kickstarter and be notified when it goes live. I'm actually going to put the pictures in the group chat for the game so people can choose what kind of colors we want. Kind of gave us a wide array to choose from. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really want to shout out at the moment.
Love it. Just dump the links for your Twitter and the Kickstarter.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Nothing too crazy, but I think on the side of GCX things, most of the stuff that I've been involved in has been announced. Obviously, there's the Meteorian Core live show that we're all, like myself and Sam and RoBear are going to be doing, and that's going to be awesome. But they have also announced that I am doing a lore panel as well on the main stage, and look out for things on that. I'm not sure if all of the announcements on that are quite done yet. And the other thing as well is we are going to be sorry, long day, I'm tired. I am going to be at the meet and greets station on Saturday from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. I'm going to be alongside Leopard, so if you want to come and say hi, or if you want to just jump in line after you have queued for data all day, very happy for that too. I love you laugh, but have you seen the scheduling for him on both days? It's like there's different time slots for every creator.
I did.
And then at the top, it's just Datto the whole day.
That's all he does. He goes to Florida to stand there for 14 hours every day.
When I came in from the pool, when I saw him in line, went to the pool, 12 hours later, got out of the pool, and Data was still standing in the same spot, that's when it became legendary. Like,
yeah, when people have to run up and bring him waters, like, not because he asked, but because they know he won't move.
It's every year. Like,
it's been that way since the beginning.
The man is, yeah, he's Atlas holding up the weight of his fandom on his shoulders. Like,
yeah, can't say he doesn't talk to everybody about whatever mathematical equation that they have for him.
I mean, you know, he is part of the math class. So.
It's true. Anyone else?
Sorry, I'm eating squashies.
Well, hey, while you're eating squashies, I will say that please. I can confirm that if you attend GCX, you will get a chance to take home one of our limited edition prints of Meteorian Core. We basically have our own movie poster done by Mike Pape, who's done the gorgeous art that you're looking at here for Stormforge. Also, there'll be the Stormforge link that will be going out soon as well to get the limited edition print of this gorgeous beast. But if you go to GCX, there happens to be a lot of us there. You might be able to pick up a pretty cool signature. So, more news on that before GCX gets here soon.
I'm having to hold myself back from expletives. I've seen the previews. They are so cool. I'm so excited.
Mike's a wizard.
He is an absolute wizard. He gets everything right. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, I didn't see the sketch before I sent him my info, because I sent it late because I was in Belgium. And he was like, oh, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm going to go and revise pretty much all of this now. My descriptors. I was like, no, actually. But he's not too far off. We're just giving Biddy an update. She deserves it. But this Friday...
Biddy getting clammed up.
Probably not.
Well, compared to the sketch.
I did say let her hair grow longer, because it's been years. Let her hair grow longer. Why not?
True.
A little bit of length. But this Friday, if y'all don't know, I do a weekly jam with myself and my partner JJ for the Wounded Warrior Project, where we bring on different guests as well as then have them choose a game for us to play. But actually this week is a little special because, and I know they're not everybody's thing, which is why we're going to have them in one place for you to come and question them. We're going to have representatives from the VA, the Veterans Affairs. And if you know, you know. If you know my story with them, you know. It's going to be great. So twitch.tv/Wounded Warrior Project this Friday at 1 p.m. PT or 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't come in guns blazing because you will get banned, but like, I'm right there with you. That's it. And you're welcome for Lolly Day. No more.
Every
Rolls
day's Lolly
eyes.
Day to Callista.
Threw me for a La Lupia today, y'all.
Oh my god.
I would like a divorce.
Me and
When you
Mishkin
divorce
slowly pull hoods up.
I have divorce papers ready, like you have feather falls ready.
Damn, looks like you're stuck with just Mishkin.
I'm excited. We'll catch everybody next Wednesday. Love y'all. Be good to each other. We'll see you then.
Bye.
What's going on, everybody? CaptainRoBear crew here for Totally Not the Restart of Stormforge, episode 12. It's all that
First
rust.
time. Too
I'm mad that I
easy
just
first
looked
try.
over and didn't see it.
That's
I
why.
saw us leave screen.